foremost, thank you everybody for showing up. Little housekeeping. Wanted to let you know that yes, there will always be replays of these webinars. For right now, we're going to be posting them on YouTube, and we're going to be posting them in the members area. Not all videos will make it to YouTube, but for right now, since we're just starting off, most every video will be on YouTube as well as the members area. But then as we get into more and more fun stuff, harder stuff, proprietary stuff, then we will take it to the members area. Some people are still not sure how they get to members area, and I just wanted to cover that quick. So let me share my screen here. All right, let me know if you can see the Content Maxima homepage, everybody. Give me like a 1 in chat or something if you can see it.
I got it. You guys can see it, I'm assuming, hopefully.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Give us a 1, give us a W, something in chat. Let's go. It's interactive today, fellas and ladies.
Anybody with us.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
right.
guys breathing. Come on. You're sucking oxygen. Give us something.
There we go.
There we go.
Naylan, how's it going? Nice. Mike, you made it. We're going to cover one of Mike's questions. Sam, welcome. It's really zoomed in. Okay. Yeah. I am on a smaller monitor. I wonder why it's cropping that.
Try control and then scroll down on your mouse. Sometimes that automatically scrolls stuff out. There you go. That did it. Keep going.
Let me go a little bit more. That's
go.
just making the text smaller, I think, but whatever.
No,
I think you can see it better.
Smaller. Yeah, it makes it see it better. Yeah.
All right, so those of you who are asking to get to everything with us is going to be under this My Account button. And we've split it up into 3 links. So the first link, you can launch the Content Maxima app. So if you ever forget, you didn't bookmark the URL, where's the app being hosted, I have no idea how to get there. You just come to contentmaxima.com, click My Account, launch the app. Second thing is your account and billing dashboard. So again, downgrades, upgrades, cancellations, any credit card expiration, that kind of stuff is handled in the account and billing dashboard. And the final link is the exclusive members only area. This is going to get you to the replays, but more importantly, it's going to get you to some of the templates, custom GPTs, prompt libraries, and resources that Rob and I are going to continuously be building. So to answer questions, that's the best way to get to the different parts of our community and our app. All right, let's see here. Let me do this. So I want to answer Mike's question first and foremost. Then I want to get into a little bit of a training session or lesson. We're going to see how it goes. Again, tech has been killing me today, but we'll try it. Worst that happens is it fails miserably and we have to do it again sometime. And then we'll open up the Q&A. Obviously, if you have questions, you have the Q&A tab if you can ask in there. And then we have the front-facing chat. So I'm going to go into our tickets and get Mike's question again. So Mike says, I'm part of the Semantic Mastery group, and I'm using Bradley's training to ensure that my page structure is correct. Using Content Maxima, I'm wondering what's the best way to take the results and format the perfect page. I'm looking for a solution to construct the title, H1, H2, H3, and so on, Mike. So I told Mike we would cover this first. It's a question that we get a lot. There's obviously different ways of building, quote unquote, the perfect page, but we do have some recommendations. And I'm thinking, Rob, I might run an example while you answer and I add, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So then let's do this. Mike, since you're here in the chat, can you just tell us, if it's okay, if it's not proprietary, you don't mind it being shared, what industry and niche you're in so that we can like really break this down for you?
above the delay.
Yeah, I know we got about a 10-second delay. That's okay. We'll see what Mike says.
I need to get if I can figure out how to play music in here to get the Jeopardy.
Oh, Jeopardy countdown. We got to talk to Dre, right? Because Dre has all the soundboards and video mixers and stuff, so that he can like overlay live special effects and audio tracks and stuff.
He's using OBS, so I know how to do it with OBS, but right now Kartra doesn't allow it in there, so I was playing with it today. So, but I don't know if he wants to share his thing, his niche maybe, so that might not be something, but anyway.
Or if he's even here, he could have just popped in and he could be getting a drink or something, whatever, right? Going to the bathroom. So let's just go without the niche and industry right now, and let's answer his question. So again, using Content Maxima, what's the best way to take the results and format the perfect page? We're looking for recommendations on how to construct page title, H1, H2, H3, and so on. So let's run something in the app, Rob, or do you want to share screen? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, you can just run it in the app there if you want.
All right, let's pick something.
Do you want to do, I guess we could do tree service. A lot of people from Smack Master are used to that one because that's what Bradley always uses. So
perfect. I happen to actually have some tree service files. Oh, there's Mike. My clients are in the hot tub and pool industry. We work with manufacturers, national, and what? The layer S equals local? National and local, I guess I'm just going to say. I don't know what the layer S equals.
The manufacturers are national and the dealers.
Oh, dealers. Local. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Fat fingers typing like me.
Yeah, it's okay. I wasn't sure what that word was. I'd never seen that word before. All right, so pools.
I'm a good translator.
Dealers. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. All right, so his clients, everybody, are hot tub and pool industry. He works with the manufacturers and dealers. So which do you want to target first? Probably manufacturers, bigger? Or do you want to do the local dealers?
And
Sam, we see your request for attorneys too. Well, we can apply this to attorneys for you for sure too. Yeah, so he says sure to hot tub or pool manufacturers. Pool manufacturer. So I always recommend, you don't always have to do it this way. Some people like a smaller set, but this is my recommended set. Oh, you have more dealers. All right, so let's do dealers. Pool. So what do you call them? They're not a pool dealer. They're a pool shop. Is that what you would call them? Or a pool store? More dealers.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the pool industry, so it's hard.
Pool contractor. All right, that's super helpful, Mike. Sorry we don't know your niche, but this is why we do it, because we want to prove it works for every niche. So pool contractor. So I'm going to ask for the 25 closest related entities out of the graph database to pool contractor. And then I'm asking for the 5 closest entities out of the graph database connected to those tier 1 entities. So 25 tier 1s, 5 tier 2s, going to give us a nice information graph or overview. Do you want a matrix file too, Rob, or just start with the analysis? I can always be running the matrix if you need me to.
I mean, probably analysis to start. I mean, that's what I would use for the headings and stuff like that. The matrix is more to find all those other terms on a specific word. That's kind of how I look at them.
So here we are. Anybody who doesn't know this, I just like to give it a quick overview. This file, this is an analysis feature of Content Maxima. It spits out this report. It is our primary keyword entity or idea, which is pool contractor. Column B are the primary nodes. These are the tier 1 nodes, meaning they're the most directly connected nodes possible in the graph database to that idea, and then the secondary nodes are the closest to those ideas. So we're building a tree. You do not have to understand this, but this just shows you how everything was measured, prioritized, and accounted for. Where you should look is the blueprint. Everybody should always go right to the blueprint tab because it's the easiest way to get the information out. So we can quickly see that the very closest primary node to pool contractor is actually swimming pool builder. So that's interesting, right? Because I guess there's some overlap there in logic too, where I'm thinking swimming pool builder, that's like a manufacturer, but no, the contractor's coming to your home or your business and building the actual swimming pool with the parts from the manufacturer. So again, not my niche, not my industry. My brain is now processing this and understanding it a little bit better. Rob, you want me to
Are you
zoom out
showing
a
the
little
Excel
bit?
sheet?
Yeah, can you see it or no?
No, we just see the content Maxima.
Oh, sorry.
You probably shared like a window instead of a whole screen or something.
Let me try it again. Sorry, everybody. Window. Okay. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So here is the blueprint. Rob, do you want it bigger, smaller? Is this good?
No, that's fine for now. So here's how I would structure this. Just Rob from the outside in, and some of it may, as you know, the niche a little bit. There may be slight deviations, but starting out. So if I'm having a page about a pool contractor, the headings on that page, I would start with the primary nodes, right? So like on that page, I talk about like a swimming pool builder, a pool installation, the construction, renovation, like all those different topics for what they're looking for. And then within each, so like those could be like H2s, let's say, on your page. And then for the pool builder, the swimming pool installation, the pool construction, the custom pool design, I would mention those type of topics in there. And some of them overlap because like a pool contractor, I don't know all the different terminologies and stuff as far as that goes. But I would start with the primary nodes as kind of that would be for that page, starting to structure your content in the heading format, right? Because if you got to think about it, what are the algorithms looking for? For a pool contractor, these are the terms most associated with pool contractor, right? And again, we're doing this from pool contractor. It could be on anything, right? It may be like you're looking for pool, like people that buy pools. So there might be a different seed term that you want to do to go down that route, or people that are looking to self-install, right? So it depends on where you start as to how you frame out these pages, right? So I do this with each page that I was going to go after. And then so like for a pool contractor page, I would touch on the pool builder, pool installation, the pool construction, and like renovation of a pool. And I would have each of those as headers and then like sections. So underneath those, I would talk about, different like short paragraphs, let's say on pool builder, or maybe even a longer paragraph if that's the main thing that you're looking at or whatever. And then for the secondary nodes, those would be terms that I would sprinkle into that context or into that content, right? And then if you're going to build out bigger pages for the secondary nodes, then you could use those terms in your text to link out to then your secondary pages, like the supporting pages for the swimming pool builder section or whatever, right? Like if you're going to have pool contractor and then you got swimming pool builder, maybe a small little piece there. But within that, if then you're going to do a whole page on swimming pool builder, link down to a full page about that, where you could start covering the secondary nodes on that page. That makes sense. So this would almost be like my layout. I'm going to, let's see, can I do that whiteboard
Whiteboard?
appears up. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and pull up a whiteboard real quick.
Do I need to stop or will it take over?
I don't know. We'll find out here in a quick second. Watch this. We'll see. We'll learn as we go.
Boot me out.
Yeah, entire screen. New whiteboard. And I want to do this page. Share. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so you guys see my screen? So I'm going by memory on what Ed's screen was, but basically I would have, this would be that pool contractor. I forgot I can draw on this screen, so I don't have to use my mouse. And then, right, so on that page, come on, there we go. On that page, I would cover the topic. So like pool construction, pool. What were the
So it
primary
was
notes?
pool builder. So swimming
Okay.
pool builder, pool installation, construction, renovation. So building, installation, construction, renovation,
So you have pool installation.
and maintenance if you want to go 5.
Okay, construction. Right. So that's all on that page. Maintenance. We'll just go with those for now. And then if I was going to have like a page under my pool contractor, if I'm actually going to have a page about pool building, and then maybe a pool installation page, and then also a pool, what was that other one? Construction,
Construction,
and then maintenance,
renovation, and maintenance.
right? So in this pool contractor page, right, I'd have the pool builder, like a little section on that with some context. And then within that context, I would probably use the term pool builder or just builder, right? Because that's the second or the main term, and use that word to link down to my pool builder. Same with install. I'd have a little bit of text in there. Within that text, I'd link down to my pool installation. Within the construction, I'd have my, my little text within there, and I'd use the word construction to link down to this page. And then for maintenance, I talk about just, quick little blurb, right? You don't want to do everything in maintenance here, but within that pool construction, and I'd link down to that page. So what you're ended up with is you're going to have like a pool contractor page, right? Hide that for a second. There we go. Now I can see. You're going to have the pool construction page, and then you're going to have the page about pool building to make this cleaner, pool installation, the pool construction, and the pool maintenance. So effectively, from this page, you're linking down within each of those sections to these pages, right? And on these pages, right, I would have the secondary nodes. I would use those as kind of the topics or the different things within there, right? Because it knows for this pool building, right, the secondary nodes or topics is expecting to be on this page, right? So then if I'm going to build this even farther, right, you could use those to build pages for each of those that link down, right? Now, on some of them, they may overlap, right? So in your pool building, right, there may be a construction, so you don't need that pool construction again. That's where you could start to then cross-link, right? And you start to interlink your content the same way that the AI is expecting to see the content. That's how I would go about just starting out formulating this, right? And then if you're going into like, I don't know if there's different pool types or something, right? I'm sure you're gonna have somewhere where you're gonna have, the different types of pools if they're looking, right? Like a oval and a whatever, right? Round, stuff like that. So you might have a pool type section. And then I would do the same thing. I would have, your pool types, and then you could have oval, rectangle, right? This is where you start getting into the where they're actually purchasing, right? And you could do the same type of thing. So that's kind of high level. If you got follow-up questions on that, let me know, Mike. But that's how I would use this content and the outline and the analysis on how to do that to help structure. Basically, the analysis helps become my blueprint of my page. And each of those different terms, I would run this again, right? So then if I was going to do it again for like pool maintenance, I'd run that term and see what are the top 5 for that. And then and just keep basically page by page kind of structuring what I'm expecting. There's going to be overlap, right? At some point, there'll be overlap, kind of like we saw with there's pool construction. And then within the pool building, it talked about construction. So those are they're going to overlap. So you don't need a pool construction under your pool building if you already have a pool construction page. That's when you just start to then link back to the pool construction page, right? So that's how I would go about building it, just from the start on how to set this up. And there's a video that what I found very interesting. I'm going to steal from Bradley here because he mentioned it on his webinar. So he used to do for his tree trim or his tree service pages, he'd have a tree service page, and then he would have like tree trimming, right? And he'd have like stump removal. I don't know if those are his exact ones, but after he started using Content Maxima to help restructure how the algorithm thinks of things, right? The algorithm sees tree service as the top, and these are like sub entities that all relate to tree service. So from what I was seeing on his YouTube video where he shared how he uses Content Maxima to lay out the stuff, he now sets it up where tree service is his main kind of category page, and then he puts tree trimming, stump removal, I don't know, maybe tree pruning. I don't know I don't know his keywords either, right? But those feed into tree service instead of having its own separate page. So he even started to lay out his pages better to mimic what basically all the algorithms are expecting and what language models are expecting to see how these things are laid out and how they're all interconnected.
Let me add to that, Rob.
Okay.
I'm going to take over your screen again. So because I'm a visual person, right? I want you to see this, Mike. I want it to really like resonate. So you have the Excel spreadsheet with the different columns. To change the formatting of it, I took the first 5 and I kind of just formatted it in a Google Doc, right? So I just want you to see, like, hey, here's your page on Pool Contractor. And Rob, if none of this matches up to what you just said, let me know. But I just literally took the next column over and said, okay, you're my H2 swimming pool builder. Because this Pool Contractor page is more of an overview type page, right? And then when you get into something very specific, like the swimming pool builder page, then, that's going to go in depth on that part. That's just a small part of the Pool Contractor page. The swimming pool builder page is going to be much more robust and all of the information about swimming pool building, versus the Pool Contractor page has to mention these other things: the installation, the construction, the renovation. Now, as Rob said, you're going to come across overlap. The other thing you have to think about, because you said you're working with local and national, right? You have dealers and manufacturers. If this is a local company, it's a local pool contractor, especially in a very non-competitive market, a small market, small town, country town, whatever, it might only take one good page like this laid out to rank. And you might never have to write individual pages for all of these other topics. But if you're like, if you're in New York City, right? If I'm in White Plains and I'm a pool builder, like, it's super competitive because there's so many more people and it's a bigger market. So in order to build my authority and to show the machines and algorithms that know what I'm talking about, each one of those H2s, or that second column, the primary nodes that are recommended, you might wind up building those pages. And you're going to say, well, how many of them do I build? And it's kind of like arrows in your quiver. Like, you might start off and say, okay, I'm going to do the Pool Contractor page. I'm going to do these 5 supporting pages. So we're just going to do the builder, the installation, construction, renovation, and maintenance. But then over the course of time, you realize, well, hey, you know what? I still can't get these guys ranking. I'm not doing a good enough job. We haven't taken over. So then you're going to continue down that list. And so now, instead of 5 supporting pages, maybe you're going to go to 7 supporting pages or 10 supporting pages. The whole interesting concept of tonight's webinar, Feeding AI, is we're stacking information in a way that it recognizes these patterns. And so the trick to SEO, the trick to algorithm manipulation, regardless of the platform, is to stack those nodes and edges to mirror what that brain already knows and thinks about. And you're stacking. You're not just stacking against one person. You're stacking against your competitor. You're stacking against the machine's understanding. You're trying to mirror the machine's understanding. So in your local market, there's going to be a tipping point. It's going to be very different based on where you're located geographically. It's going to be very different based on how competitive it is. It could still be a small town, but your small town happens to have 5 of the top pool manufacturers in the world in it. Well, now, that's a very competitive market, even though it's a small town. So you're going to have to think a little bit about your market, think about the size of what you're going for, and use that analysis file to scale the content strategy. So again, the strategy as you're seeing it here in this Word doc, this could be for 1 page right now, or it could be for 6 pages, because it could be, hey, this is that primary page I'm going to write, and then I'm going to write these other 5 pages. And these are the core concepts on those other 5 pages that I'm going to stack. because semantically, from a machine learning or understanding standpoint, that's what's expected. It's not that you can't add in other things. It's not that you can't add your own style, your own tone, all of those things. This is that recipe that the bot's looking to eat. So if you hit that, doesn't matter what happens with algorithm updates and stuff. You have this data science foundation of information architecture. And so no matter how bad things shake up, you're always going to have a really strong presence because you're mirroring what's known as authoritative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you drawing it out there. I mean, that's kind of what I was drawing it from a page structure.
Yeah, it's just hard to see in the drawings. That's why I did it.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a good drawer, but I like to draw. So
it's okay.
you got to deal with it. I was an artist in a former life, stick man, right?
So,
but yeah, this is what I was talking about. So like if you had a page on pool contractor, each of those other pages could be an H2. And then the little bullets are just little sections that you'll cover in each of those H2s, right? And then you can, if you need to then build out a formal swimming pool builder page, then you do the same thing. You could run a swimming pool builder, see what comes back, see what the secondary nodes are, build that page out larger, right? And you may need this from when you're going for the national terms, you're going to have a lot bigger, a much more powerful site to rank nationally. Because when you're doing national, right? If I think of pools, right now I'm thinking national distributors, they're looking for people who are going to order online and get something shipped to their house, right? If you're looking local, they're looking for just the dude they can buy the pool and he's going to install it for them. It's just a local guy, right? That's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah.
So from, like Ed was saying, for the local guy, right, you might not need near as many of these things because, you're talking about pool installation, at least, especially where I'm at in just kind of a small area. Like people are waiting 6, 8, 10 months to get their pool installed because there's just not that many around. Right. So they're calling like Steve's pool that literally just has a picture of a pool with Steve and a thumb next to his truck. And that's the only thing on his page. And people are calling him. Right. So when you're dealing with, smaller areas, you may not need as much. Right. So I wouldn't go out and just build every single page you ever need for local, start with just as I'm inherently lazy is what I like to call it. Right. I want to do as least as possible to rank so that I keep some, like Ed said, arrows in my quiver. So if I do run up with somebody else that starts ranking, then I can add some context and some layers to my information to then, kind of rebolster my rankings for that type of thing. Right. But when you're getting to do a national, right, when people are doing a national type deal and they're looking for a pool builder, they're going to have a lot more questions when they're talking about a national thing. So you're probably going to have a ton of like Q&As that people are going to ask, right? Like what's the, you can get into even the pool construction, right? If you would do pool construction, and then you could get into even liners, right? Because that's going to be in your pool construction section. They're going to talk about, is it an in-ground pool? Is it an above-ground pool? Is it steel walled? Is it, fiberglass? Is it concrete? Like the gunite, right? Those are totally different markets completely for a swimming pool. And everybody that's looking for those is going to have tons of different. I mean, you get into a liner, you're talking about, is it, 15 mil, 18 mil, 20 mil? What's the design? Like it just goes on and on and on and on from that perspective.
So I'm just looking in chat. So D says we couldn't see your screen. Let me know if you can see my screen now. It's the Content Maxima software. And let me know. Sam Gelb was like, is there anything to stop us from putting, like just massively deploying nodes? No, like Rob was just saying though, like you don't blow all your ammunition in the zombie apocalypse because you don't know if another zombie's coming, right? Like you got to protect yourself. You got to reserve. You don't want to do too much. Number one, be lazy. Do the least amount of work possible. Get the effects that you need. If you're not getting the effects you need, then you do a little bit more work and a little bit more work and a little bit more work. And by the way, each time you're doing a little bit more work, you're invoicing the customer, right? Oh, well, we built this out. It's still not taking them down. We're going to build this out now. And until you take them down. Okay, D, thanks for that heads up. So then another thing, Mike, is if you're in the Content Maxima software, it's helpful as you are designing information architecture. Under the settings area, we have this activate MORC mode. So if it's not checked, you'll check it, click update profile. You'll come over to solutions, go down to outlines. What's awesome about this outlines is you can put in a term. I wouldn't suggest doing it this way. It's not as good. Or you put in the analysis file we just ran. So I'm literally going to put in the pool contractor analysis in here. And I'm going to say generate outlines. Now, this is just a baseline, but it's a strong baseline. It's a good start of how you might structure your articles. And each one of those primary nodes, it's going to give you an article for those, right? Automatically. So to Sam's point, if you're trying to deploy a massive new site, which I can't always recommend it. I just did it on a site I own. I deployed, let's say, 1,000 pages on the site. Google kind of backhanded me and penalized me for a while because I did a really, quite honestly, a garbage job. At the time, it was just GPT 3.5, and I was using, I think, ZimWriter at the time and just auto pumping. I wrote like 1,500 articles in a weekend, and I just threw out all these hundreds of articles, and Google looked at most of them and were like, these are garbage, and wouldn't index them and wouldn't get me anywhere. So the secret to building a brand or building authority is to actually build it. Like I have found, it's not that you can't go to market with a big cluster of stuff. You can, but some of it might be ignored because it's this big amount of data that the bots have to eat. But if you are always drip feeding the bots, you train them. Believe it or not, you will train the bot to come back. You can actually, if you've done it the same way at the same time on the same day every year, if every Thursday at noon I publish a blog article and you start to track like crawlers, you'll see that you've trained them to know, hey, Mike publishes an article Thursdays at noon. We need to go back and get the new article because we know it'll be there. So you are kind of drip feeding these bots as the more effective solution. It's not that you can't do brute force and you can't flood the market with a bunch of stuff, but most companies, most brands, most freelancers, most agencies, you're going to have far better effects if you slowly build the brand. And consistency is huge to algorithms, right? Because that's proving it's creating trust, it's creating reputation. Again, every Thursday we know Mike's publishing that article, boom, we're back for it. So what I want to show you here, Mike, is just, here are those nodes. Here's that pool contractor, swimming pool builder, installation, construction, renovation, maintenance, repair. In here, this doesn't look like much, but if you actually click into the cell, and I'll put it in a notepad so you can see it. Essentially, it's giving you an entity-focused guide. It's not the world's best. It's a good foundation. It's a way to brute force. If you just need, hey, I need guides. I need to get them to my writer, my VA. I need to get them into my chatbot that writes for me, my Claude, my Chat GPT, whatever. This automatically is just giving you that foundation. Now, of course, I would expect you, Mike, to add your own efforts to this. There will be customers here who don't. There will be customers who just copy and paste this verbatim and say, okay, I'm just going to let it write this article and be done with it. And I'm not going to add any of my knowledge, any of my, special sauce, right? But this should be a foundation for people to add their special sauce. This should just save you a ton of time, because you saw how fast I just did 25 outlines. Now, I don't need to go do all 25 and publish them today, but hey, I can do those first 5. And then if you're looking for a way to bill your client, make consistent money, they say, well, I need the game plan, Mike. How are we going to keep this going? Well, you're going to say, hey, these are all the different topics we're going to cover. And this is our content strategy for the next X number of months. And you're going to pay me this much. And this is what we're going to have up on your site. And all of these are stacking and building. You hear people talk about hub and spoke pages. You hear them talk about content clusters. You hear them talk about all that stuff. Really what Rob and I talk about is that edge and node pattern. There's literally a DNA, a pattern you can see, a physical footprint you can see of content if you map it out. The problem with the internet and all these big tech and stuff like that, they're not feeding guys like you and I saying, hey, this is exactly what you should do. They're not letting us see this information. Content Maxima is the first time that we've been able to really gut that information out of them and find a strategy that works. And this strategy here, I want to remind this because everyone here might say, I don't do SEO. this strategy works for other things. Like if you had a drip email sequence, or you had another campaign, a more traditional advertising campaign, could you not be using these exact same things in your campaigns? Hey, we're going to talk about being pool contractors in our next TV commercial. We're going to talk about the installation, and the following one, we're going to talk about the, renovation and the maintenance. Then we're going to talk about custom pool designs. Like, so this is actually just information architecture at the data science level. So I don't want you to be closed-minded or forget that this strategy here could be used for other things. That's the most important message I can give you, is that you could use this far beyond SEO, because it doesn't matter, again, if it's SEO, pay-per-click, AI, anything, they all boil down to natural language processing and that data science that Rob and I target. So those nodes, whether these nodes make it into a Facebook post or a Pinterest post or your TikTok video, or they structure your blogs, or they structure your landing pages and service pages, it's all the same potential, because it's targeting the nodes that the machine needs to understand. Oh, that Facebook post that Mike just wrote, well, he's talking about pool construction, and we're 100% confident he's talking about the construction, because he used these terms and he covered these topics. Whereas if it's something else, you cause ambiguity, right? If all of a sudden in construction you focus on the electrical work, well, you're not really talking about the construction, you're talking about the electrical. So most people's problems in the world, it's just an alignment problem. It's not that you don't have good content, that you don't spend hours of your time and effort. It's just you're out of alignment. This is that scientific alignment. So any other confusion, questions on this, stuff we didn't cover, to make sure you could build your perfect page, as we call it?
I'm scrolling through chat right now. I don't see.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to, I guess, one of the questions about doing, like we were talking about, where you 20 mass page it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is also when you start to, something to be careful with, right, is if you go run this analysis and you say, give me 100 primary nodes, it's going to force it to give you 100 primary nodes. The problem you'll run into is it'll start to drift, because you're telling it, I want 100. And it's like, well, I know, but I don't know necessarily 100 primary. It's going to give you 100. But if you ask for 100 for pool contractor, the next thing you might be seeing is you might be seeing Billy Bob, the contractor, who's well known in one city. And if you just massively deploy it, because you forced AI to, you force these language models to tell you exactly, I need this many, it's going to come up with them. So that's where you want to, there's a little bit of, there's art and science to all of this, right? So I wouldn't go out and just say, oh, I'm going to build this huge thing and I want to do 100. Well, I would do smaller ones, like do pool contractor with 10, and then run each of those 10 with maybe their own 10, right? And then start with a different keyword applied to pool contractor, right? Because I'm sure there's other categories within the pool space that you'll need to cover on a page, right? Like I kind of discussed, you might need to cover a whole section just on pool liners, right? You don't really think about that from a pool contractor because they're not worried about it, but you got to think about where you're trying to gather customers in their journey. And people who are looking for a pool, right? Pool is an expensive undertaking if someone's going to buy a pool. So they're going to do a lot of research before they push a order button or before they're actually calling to say install this. So you're probably going to be more, there'll be a lot on a national level in this niche, at least from my initial thought, is this is going to be a heavy research niche for people that are trying to understand what kind of pool they want, what kind do they want, above ground, in ground, infinity, do they want liner, do they want gunite, do they want fiberglass, do they want, right, what's the pros and cons for each of those? Yes, one's more expensive, but it lasts longer, and all those type of things. So that's where just putting the one term and saying give me 100 can get you in trouble, because it will start to drift. Anything that when you're forcing a certain number, it'll start to drift. So
And that's
keep
true
that in mind
of
before you
all
max
AI.
it. Yeah, that's everything. Just anytime
every AI. Not to beat a dead horse, but you guys seem really interested in this topic. I'm going to show you some slides I've never publicly shown. It was in a private webinar from 2024, the charity webinars back at Heavy Hitter. So I just want you to see a couple of these slides. The first one that I want you to see is like we talk about like content clusters. So I use a BLT sandwich because I feel like that's such a basic idea that people can understand it. So when I'm talking about it, I use BLT sandwich. So in this case, I just want you to see like, hey, this is a content cluster. These are what the pages are about, right? Bacon, lettuce, tomato, and bread. Now, when we flip over from pages and links to the data science side of things, we're looking at edges and nodes. Let's talk about them as dots and lines. So here's pages and links. Here's dots and lines, okay? So sometimes all it takes, and let me slideshow this here quick so it's bigger. Sometimes all it takes, you think you have authority, right? You think you've covered the topic holistically and good enough. But, you know, one of the things in this example of BLT, when I was researching the BLT entity, mayonnaise. There's people who eat a BLT without mayonnaise. They don't like mayonnaise. It's their preference. But if you ask the robot the definition, the mayo has to be on the sandwich for it to be a BLT. That's the data level definition of a bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. So sometimes there's hidden entities too that trigger the bot, right? Like if I'm talking about a sandwich and I don't mention the use of a knife, well, I can't spread the mayonnaise. I can't cut the sandwich. I never mentioned the knife. So there's no way I could possibly be an authority on the sandwich because I didn't even mention the knife that's needed to make the sandwich, if that makes sense. So there's these hidden entities that you're not always thinking about. Sometimes, you know, those will show up in the analysis, but really that's when the matrix and language and we start to dissect it at a much more DNA level. But here's what I want you to see. So it's like I could have had my content cluster, my BLT, and in order to become the authority, I had to make sure that I added mayonnaise and not just bread, but there's different states of bread. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but like there's literally, you have bread and you have toast, right? And those are different. And I show this here. It reminds me back in like grade school where there's like ice, water, gas, your solid, liquid, gas kind of lessons. You have bread, you have toasted bread, and then you have toast. Those are different states of the same entity. Now that can start to get technical, but that's not even what I wanted to show you. But here, you might be trying to become the expert on BLT sandwich, but you're just shy of authority on the data science level because you're missing that mayonnaise node, you're missing that toast node, and you're missing that knife node. So simply by adding them, I just want you to see that. Boom, I've added these now. Now the footprint, and the reason I'm using colors is I want you to see there's an actual footprint to data. Once I cover them and they become part of the footprint, now the machine says, oh, Ed's the expert on the BLT sandwich because he covers the mayonnaise, the toast, and the knife that he wasn't before. So now he, boom, outranks the next person. And this is that same thing I just said to you, quivers or arrows in a quiver, right? Or your ammunition. You might be here, right, Mike? And you might say, hey, I'm doing all right, but I'm not doing where I want to be. You might simply say, all right, I'm going to take out that arrow, mayonnaise, boom. Now I've just started to tip the scale. Well, mayo alone didn't do it. I didn't outrank the guy who's number one. I'm still number two. Well, now I'm going to pull out the next arrow, toast, boom. That's in my footprint. Then I'm going to pull out knife, boom. So you're going to take it one by one until you hit the breaking point, the tipping point. Once you hit that footprint and the machine knows you're authoritative, you've hit all the nodes I need. You've literally hit the definition that I have in my graph database. So now you're the go-to pool guy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, for me. So, but of course we nerd out on this stuff.
Yeah, we're dorks, so we got to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for not being clear earlier today, Rob. Sometimes I go too far.
Yeah, clarity is key sometimes.
And
just that statement there, you know, by adding toast and knife and mayonnaise and things like that, you're adding more clarity to you being an authority on a certain thing, right? So.
All right. Haven't heard anything back yet. That's all right. So. other questions, or should we keep this landing page conversation going? I think I have a little bit of a lesson we can do.
Yeah, I don't see any other like questions or anything in Q&A yet.
All right, so let's do this because I think it's important and it'll help everybody. Let's run pool contractor across the board. I'm going to get you. So Sam says, is it just by adding content to get a tipping point? How do you know? So really you have to look at like your brand online is your website and all of your digital assets, your different profiles, right? The definition of your brand. And then your website has a domain, right? So your brand has authority, your domain has authority, and then your page has authority. So to get that tipping point, and how do you know? Like you're going to be, is it just adding content? Sometimes it's not adding full-blown content, Sam. Sometimes it's just adding a word or two. This is why there's a lot of other softwares out there like the Surfers and Pops and Quoras and stuff like that. They'll focus on just, hey, Sam, add this term 3 more times, because it's kind of a brute force way, the frequency of a word to get you to rank, right? But that's kind of like, I don't want to call it an amateur way of doing it, but it's kind of amateur because now we know that all these algorithms, especially search, they're not just paying attention to keywords, they're literally understanding meaning, right? They're using vector and I'm sorry, what are they? Embeddings, Rob, right? They're using embeddings to cover a concept. So they're taking kind of like all the dots and the dots and lines, those nodes and edges that we were just talking about, they're looking at subjects that way. So they're looking at your brand's footprint online across every platform. Then they're looking at your website and domain, looking at the footprint of that. Then they're looking at your page and they're looking at the content's footprint. So that footprint stacks, right? Everything about this stacks down to the granular level that even so, you could build a single paragraph, Sam, that covers certain nodes, and that paragraph becomes super semantic and relevant and understood by machines because you've included some of these trigger or tipping points in that one paragraph. So this science is scalable across whether you're talking about the brand, the website, a single page, or even a single paragraph, right? Because there's things like passage SEO now, right, where Google will take an answer off your page. It might not even be right up top. They're snipping something that's 2 scrolls down because it's really good that they can feed the user. Those are the nodes that it's looking for to feed the user to help them with their intent. So hopefully that clears it up for you. So I'm going to just start running these reports. So I did pool contractor. And the reason I'm going to run these reports is I want you guys to realize that these files that Rob and I have built in Content Maxima, they're incredible strategy files, right? They're incredible data. We're doing things that nobody else has ever done before. But the magic doesn't stop there. And we've had a lot of customers say to us that, hey, like, have you ever dropped this into a Chat GPT or a Claude or Grok, or have you ever built a custom GPT or a custom agent with this kind of stuff? And yes, it was sort of a happy accident, but we knew the data that we were creating and generating for people and harvesting out of these language models is, if we formatted it in certain ways, if we put the data in certain formats and cause juxtaposition, right? Put them side by side in different ways is, I guess, what I'm saying. That you can actually get some really magic results. And if you listen to everyone that's out there right now, what are they talking about? They're talking about AI agents, automation, N8N, make, and this and that. And as Rob and I just had a conversation about it, it's really just the new Zapier or the new webhooks or whatever. It's just the AI version of it. It can do what those things were already doing. So yes, it's exciting. Yes, it's cool. But the problem with it is, great, I set up this huge chain of N8N automations and stuff. But at each one of those steps, my question is, how well is that workflow performing for you? How well is the one agent here that talks to this agent there, that talks to this agent there, how well does each one of them perform? Because I think the whole world is missing is they're missing solid training data. They're not giving their AI, their robots, data that's helpful, right? They're just chucking whatever they have from their business in there. Here's 15 different sales PDFs and a brochure and some images and this and that, and they're not formatting it. They're not structuring it in a way that's digestible for the AI. So they have a lousy starting point. So however amazing these automations are, however amazing these AIs are, they're not all that amazing, because unless somebody's come in and trained it at every step of the way, you're only getting partial results, right? We all know ChatGPT and Grok and Claude and all these things can tell you about most every subject matter in the world. But until you focus it down and give it training data, it will not perform at its optimal level. It'll never perform at its optimal level without you giving it enough structured data to run with. And that's why all these AIs now, instead of you uploading your PDF and your Excel spreadsheet and all this other stuff, what does it want? It wants markdown files. Why markdown files? Because they're very formatted in a specific way. And it wants JSON formatted schema. Why does it want schema? Well, that's AI's native language. This is where in search in Google, schema kind of fell flat, but schema's back alive and kicking butt again. Schema is how you get your AI to listen to you precisely. I mean, I'm sure you guys have used templates, or you've talked to chat or whatever, and it says, you say, well, I got this result this time, but now the format's totally different. You had 3 bullet points, now you have 7 bullet points. Like, why are you changing the format on me? Because again, it drifts, it's not accurate, precisely accurate. So it's constantly just generating things, and they're not always in the right format. The second you put your prompt in JSON formatted schema, now the AI can't deviate. It has a template in code, right? That says, no, when you output this to me, I want a title and I want 3 bullet points, 3 only, never 5, never 7. So it just gives you that extra level of control. So, all right, I'm going to keep doing this. So I just got to see, I got personas, matrix, analysis. We need to probably pick a persona, but an easy persona would just be like a homeowner. So I'll just go with that. I'm going to put in pathways, pool contractor. The persona I'm just going to use just for an example sake is a homeowner. And so what I'm doing, what I want you to realize all these files are, they're layers of marketing intelligence. So this is where it gets deep and exciting and maybe complex. So if I start to lose you at any point, please speak up. Basically, you can start to stack these files. So yes, I can use the analysis report to build my website structure or my page structure, or my campaign structure. But I can also use it to feed my AI, my chat, and I can help it act 1,000 times better than it would without this data. So we start to stack marketing intelligence. So that's what we're going to get into real quick. And so I know this is a little slow here, but really for me to run through each one of these modules and export a report, and I'm downloading them all, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. But it takes me, I think it was 3 minutes and 31 seconds if I'm really focused. I'm not focused because I'm talking to you guys, so it's taking me a little bit longer. But I'm not even reading these files. I'm not worried about what's in them. I'm just real high level going to take the data that it spits out for me. And then I want to show you guys, because you're building a landing page, you want a better landing page. Maybe you're starting to use some of the AI and automation tools to pump these out, or articles to pump out. If you stack the intelligence, the marketing intelligence that Content Maxima gives you first, the end result will be so much more aligned than if you don't. And I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to prove it to you, because everybody talks. I want to show it to you. I want you to see it. So we're going to do this. And if this doesn't work, I have another example queued up that I already did that worked beautifully. So let me go into my downloads folder here quick. Let's see. All right. So we can see did I do things twice? Pool contractor. Oh, it's because I have 2 analysis, right? No, this was the outlines. So let me just delete this because I don't want to get confused. All right. So you're going to have 6 files out of Content Maxima. That's all you have to know. I'm going to go down the 6 main features of Content Maxima: analysis, matrix, personas, pathways, perspectives, linguistic signatures. So now I have a data set. This data set is not focused on my brand yet. It's just focused on my niche and my ideal customer, right? Now you could also omit ideal customer and just focus on industry and niche. But you have 4 spreadsheets, 2 PDFs. You can take these files now and click and drag them into any AI. Let's just go to chat because that's what I do a lot of work in, but I use them all now. I use them all for different things. So let me get this out of the way so you can see this. All right, so all I'm doing is the 6 files I showed you. I'm going to click and drag them in here. In another chat window. So I have one chat with files, one chat without files, okay? I'm just going to toggle back and forth. So this one has the files. This one doesn't have the files. All I'm going to ask it for is to build me that landing page that Mike was asking. So if I say, using these files, build me a landing page, and I'm going to put like my hometown because I just know my hometown. I live in Albany, New York, upstate New York. So I'm going to say, using these files, build a landing page for a pool contractor in Albany, New York. And I'm going to give it just that little bit of geolocation so that you can see how it uses it, right? And then I'm just going to copy this one, and I'm going to get rid of using these files because over here, I don't have any files to use. So I'm just going to say to chat, this is what the world does right now. They say to chat, hey, build me a landing page for a pool contractor in Albany, New York. So I'm going to let it do it. I'm going to let it run it. And I'm going to have it run the other one too. Okay? And when they're done, they're going to look really similar because chat built this one, chat built that one. But then what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys something real advanced. I don't drop this all the time, but again, we're in the industry of giving right now as we're building our community. We want you guys to be super, super dangerous. So I want your head starting to spin right now because you could start building landing pages, campaigns using the Content Maxima data outside of Content Maxima's software. You can be stacking the intelligence you're harvesting into other things. But chatbots, all sorts of custom GPTs, all sorts of things are possible. And we now, for the first time, have you guys, our customers, coming to us and asking, hey, Ed, you ever taken a file like this and done this with it? And I'm like, yeah, or no, I've never tried it that way. But it's really fun. It's really eye-opening. So this is still coding away. It's kind of slow. Let me get this one going because they're both kind of slow. So this one's going to read all that node, entity, edge information, all the information so organized, so formatted, so clean. It's literally giving it a library into its brain of like, boom, this is everything that I need to focus on. So let's see. This one's programming. This one's programming. Let's click the preview button so we can start to see something because I don't like to be bored. All right. So again, this is the one without the data. Here it is. Albany, New York pool contractor. Pools and outdoor. I mean, decent enough landing page for something that's just, auto generating, right? Decent enough. You guys could change colors and put in your client's information, but I don't know why it keeps asking me if I want to allow like fonts and stuff. Sure, whatever. I've told it like 100 times. Yes, I just want to scroll. But maybe it doesn't like me scrolling because it's hitting something in the code. I just want to see what the bottom was. So this looks like a very common landing page for a contractor, right? So let me go over here and see what's happening. We'll see if it's even done. I don't know if it's done yet. It could just be that it's not done programming, and so I'm trying to preview and I'm messing things up. So I talked about, if you guys haven't watched this yet, just as a little sidebar, if you go to contentmaxima.com, in the training library, and I'm going to harp on this until I know every single one of you has actually done this. Go to the training, and the very first video to watch is the indoctrination. Here's where I'm showing you how robots and algorithms are reading your content, listening to you, transcribing your voice into written words so that it can process it, seeing your images, and watching your videos. Once you see that and you understand why Rob and I are obsessed with entities and edges and nodes, like I think it'll click for you. You'll say, oh my gosh, that's all the robot's looking for. And to prove that it's all the robot's looking for, I'll give you another little nugget. There's, I believe this is a Kyle Roof example. You guys know Kyle, or at least have heard of his name if you're in SEO. If you're not, he's just a tester, tests the Google algorithm a lot. But one of the funny examples to prove how powerful nodes are and how Google's not really paying attention to everything on your page. It doesn't have, Google's a business, right? They want to do things as efficiently and as, least cost as possible, just like every business. They can't waste all their resources reading everything out there. They're filtering spam out, and that's where a lot of our content just gets dumped into the void, because if you're removing 40 billion pages a day, some of your pages and some of my pages are getting thrown out, basically. They're getting shoved in the void to never be seen again. So, but look at this. This is a rhinoplasty Garden Grove, which, just to give you an idea, Garden Grove, California is about 170,000 people. So it's a little bit smaller of a market. So he could prove that this works. But look at this website, everybody. It's not that visually appealing, right? We'll scroll down. Got some photos, got some headings. Have you noticed anything yet, though? This is not even English, people. Look at it. I don't know what that says. There's words in there I can identify, but those words, this is the lesson. Those words are entities or trigger words required to build the authority. So look at how funny this is. Surgery, California, plastic, rhinoplasty cost. Bunch of stuff that I can't read. Garden Grove again. Let's see down here. I mean, his headings are good, but the actual content, this is when it kills me with Google. Oh, generate helpful content helps the user. This kills that entire theory, because this isn't helpful. If I was truly in Garden Grove and was looking for rhinoplasty, this website does not help me at all yet. It's been sitting at the top of Google for forever. It's because there's entities in here that are required. Look at patients, cosmetic surgeons. They're not just keywords, they're entities. They're those nodes that the algorithm's looking for, and boom, this page ranks top of Google. No, he's done some things to make it rank. He's got some photos and some good headings. He's got an address and some FAQ questions and a map. So he's legitimizing it. So yes, there's other signals, not just your content. We all know this, that build your brand, that build your authority, that get you recommended, whether it's search engines or something else. But ultimately, this is spam, guys. This is total spam garbage, not helpful for a user. And here it is at the top of Google for this market. And this isn't the only example. I'll give you one other one. Let's do SEO LA. And I don't want to do Casey Keith because that's the person who did it, but I don't actually want you to see his name first. So like Kyle Roof, Casey Keith's a big algorithm manipulator. But if you do like SEO in LA, I don't know which one's his. I think his is number 2 right now. Or if I do SEO Los Angeles, but he's ranking like number 2 for this term. He might be ranking, if I did SEO Los Angeles, number 1. But look at this page, guys. Like, this is nothing. Like, that's it. That's the whole website. This is Los Angeles. Like, is Los Angeles a competitive market? Hell yeah, it's a competitive market. So the fact that he can just put a couple things on a page, and look, he's got like a power lifter as the image and an American flag. Like, what does that have to do with SEO? Like, nothing, right? But just because he's using some of these terms that have entities in them that matter, boom, here you are, ranking. So I just want you to see this in practice, because this is why these are other people proving the same theory, right? Rob and I are coming at it from a totally different standpoint because it's not just SEO anymore. We're manipulating every algorithm. Last week we were talking about Airbnb algorithms. We've been messing with the Facebook algorithm. If you got our announcement today, you saw what we did on Facebook. Bunch of messages, bunch of people jumping in trying to help us out. I haven't looked at it yet, Rob, but we probably quadrupled, or I don't know how much. We immensely reached far more people because we rigged the interactions and we rigged the Facebook algorithm to get more reach. And we're working on those types of things. And again, all of what we're teaching you is very similar. It's all in the same wheelhouse. So let me get rid of these examples quick. Make sure you watch that indoctrination video because it's the core of every type of marketing and algorithm bending and cracking that we're going to do here. Until you see that, I don't know that you'll follow along with everything. But let's go back to this example and see how good we did here. So I'm just going to say allow selected. This failed to generate. So I think it was, 2 chats and stuff going on. If this doesn't pop up fairly quickly, I'll switch over. I have a tree example. But let's take this first one. If I can literally copy and paste without it prompting me. I might just have to deny all because I don't know what the heck its problem is. I'm just going to do the old-fashioned way. I'm going to literally copy and paste all this text, okay? So this random landing page that it spit out, I'm just copying the text. Let's be clear. I didn't do a control A because I didn't want to get the other stuff from chat. I know I'm getting some other random things in here, like random phone numbers and quotes. I don't care about that. Let's go. We can look at a couple different tools. We can look at Google's NLP tool, but let's look at a third-party tool that's not Google for a second. That way other people who are interested in other platforms and stuff might not be just in the Google world. But let's do, there's a company called TextRaiser. Can't be reached. Come on now. Is misspelled? Okay. TextRaiser is a natural language processing tool. I'm obsessed with natural language processing tools. There's so many of them that have these. So Google has one. Amazon, if you're doing anything on the Amazon algorithm, instead of using Google's cloud NLP, go get Amazon Comprehend. They have a whole NLP system. You could get your Amazon listings juiced using their NLP. This TextRaiser is a great, phenomenal third party. So just somebody indifferent to specific algorithms and just looking at text as it is. What's great about them is I'm not a paying customer. I just come here to try the demo. They're probably going to take this down after I show this because they'll get spammed. But we're just going to delete and we're going to paste in the landing page content. I'm going to click analyze. Make sure it doesn't ask me if I'm a robot or whatever. All right. So then let's go back and see if this other landing page was done. So again, this was the landing page with data. This is the landing page without data. I just put the landing page without data into TextRaiser demo. I'm going to put the landing page with data into the demo. So let me preview this page now. Let's see. This is getting funky. What is all this?
Yeah, chat's having a nightmare today.
Chat is really having a nightmare today. That makes sense. A big house, the yoga and the fitness images and all this stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the hell it just did. Well, it also errored out when I tried to do this. Is it still programming? Is that maybe the issue? That's horrendous. Let me either I want to do that again or let me switch to the tree service one I have. What I want you to see, though, in the TextRaiser is that the reason we're looking at NLP is we want to look at alignment. So this alignment, the one that didn't have the files, has everything about construction and building engineering and energy and sustainable technologies. Where's your pool stuff? Like, it's way down here. Here's a heat pump. So this page is missing the mark on pool companies. It's into construction and mechanical engineering and sustainable energies. And by the way, I told it Albany, New York. Here's Colony, New York. Like, where's Albany? Oh, why is Colony above Albany when I specifically asked it? So chat and Grok and Claude and DeepSeek and Manus and all these things without the set of data, they'll do a nice job. They'll build you a landing page, whatever. But the alignment, the message alignment to the robots algorithmically is off. I can't give that landing page that chat just wrote in good conscience to my customer who's a pool guy or right, your pool company, knowing that it's about construction, right? And yeah, Dottie, I'm gonna copy the other one. I just don't think it's a relevant example that it built because it's got all this other stuff in it. We can see, but if it's total garbage, then I'm just gonna pull up another example because it actually failed while I was trying to see. I can't even copy and paste right now. It's still like in process. So I just don't know why chat is like freaking out. Let me stop it. Try another preview.
Or just try to rerun it, have it regenerate it.
Well, that's what I just tried it to do, but I just want to make sure I'm in the right one that actually had the files. Yes. Okay, I'm in the right one. So try again. Make me a landing page using these files. Again, if this doesn't work, I'll flip over to the example for Bradley's tree service we were doing because it's so blatantly apparent why Content Maxima can help you in your messaging and your online marketing, because once you see the NLP alignment, once you see the report, like the tree service one, it was like it had I think it was like pruning and like bushes and stuff. And I'm like, if I go to my tree service guy and say, hey buddy, I got you a bunch of, bush trimming jobs, the tree guy is going to be like, dude, I hate that. Like I offer it as a secondary service, but I'm not, I want to remove trees. That's how I get paid. How's Claude instead of ChatGPT? I mean, I think all of these things depend on the day, Sam. I think day to day, today was an awful day for chat, in my opinion. It's just been doing terrible things and not being at all helpful and drifting like crazy, and I'm almost worthless today for me. But that's just me. Might have been fine for you. But yeah, you could do Claude. The only tricky part with Claude is it's not going to take the Excel files like chat does. You're going to have to convert them to CSV, and it won't do multiple tabs. You'll have to break out each tab. So it's a little bit more difficult to use, which is why I was just running chat because it's quick and easy right now. But yeah, each one of these platforms and starting to feed them the Content Maxima data and being thoughtful about which files you're going to use and feed. I'm just doing the quick way. I'm just stacking them all. This should start to open your eyes. Again, if this example comes to life. If it doesn't, we're going to run over to the other one, but still waiting. But yeah, you guys can now start to see, hey, I did that landing page. Hey, I did that social media post. Hey, I did these things. Did the message align? Do the machines say that you're talking about pools or talking about general construction? That's very important. So,
Side note for the CSV, if you guys open up the Excel files and you go up to File, Save As, you can save them as CSV and it'll automatically save them over.
let me open a couple other tabs, Rob, because I don't have a lot of faith in whatever the heck chat's doing right now, and I'd rather just get the other examples up so I can just show a real live example. Let's see. Tree.
Yeah, my guess is we're probably going to get an announcement that OpenAI's updated something the next day or two that they haven't told us because it's been acting up, even hitting the API. I love it when they update stuff that then everything's like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's really difficult when they pull the rug on you. It really is. All right, there. Does it preview? Let's see what happens. Is this an okay page now, or is it still the same old thing? It's still stuck in whatever loop it's stuck in. It's not generating me the nice landing page like this one did, which I just don't understand why. If somebody knows why, let me know. But I have no idea. I can't. And again, Dottie, I would copy the text, but I physically, I can't do it up there. Maybe I can do it down here, Dottie. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even trust this, but let's just see how awful it is, because I think it's going to be awful because it's just aired out. Let's see what happens. No confidence in this, for the record. Yeah, technology, construction, Internet of Things, Clifton Park. It's completely off base too, even with the files, because it kept erroring out. But that's not what I want to show you. I want to show you when it's on page. You guys should try this. So you run every Content Maxima report you can, the 6 of them. Put them into whatever your favorite AI is. Have it generate something, a landing page, an email, or whatever, and then do it again without the files and compare the differences. See the difference. I think it'll speak numbers to how good the data is when things work. So let me show you.
And to step back to give you a theoretical on this, right? If you just tell it to make something, everybody's doing that, right? Everybody that you see posting is like, oh, look at this. All they're doing is they're making AI agents that just do whatever chat does, right? They're not feeding data into the agent to start with. I'm not saying everybody. I'm sure there's some people that are doing it, right? But not like, to get the best out of it, you've got to feed it the right information, right? It's something we say in the data analytics world, in the pharmaceutical world, crap in, crap out. So if you don't give it good data to start with to build your content, then how's it going to know how to basically focus your content down?
I have 2 of the same tree. I just got to find the other tree service example since this one's failing us. Man, I wish the search was acting better right now. I literally feel useless today. I don't know. Landing page.
This is the beauty of live demos.
Dude, it kills me. It literally kills me. Let's try again. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show this. I'm going to have to record something after the fact. So I have the one landing page. I'm going to try to bring it over here. We're going to get rid of all this pool contractor stuff for a minute. So this is one that uses the files. So I had built, this one, given it the matrix analysis, pathways, personas. And I just said I need a landing page for my tree removal service located in Albany, New York. I click preview. And there it is. I can take this one, run it through that text raiser tool just because it's a cool third-party tool. Try this again. Demo. Paste. Analyze. I'm going to take this URL, open another tab. All right, I'll get rid of that. And then I'm still searching for the other one, which I will show you because I want you to see it. Search chats. We need... All right, here it is, guys. I'm bringing this over. So let's go back to the start here for a second. So this one, again, I fed it in a custom GPT. I will show you the custom GPT. I fed that custom GPT these files, right? So that I would have one that's just specializing in tree removal. We'll go over building that in another week because we're running out of time here today, but I'm going to finish this. So this built me this landing page using the Content Maxima files. Looks very similar to the one it built without the Content Maxima files. So this is that landing page. On the theme of landing pages today, let's go over here. This one, I did not give any files. I just said, make me a landing page for my tree business in Albany, New York. I click preview. They're very similar in looks, right? So just so you can see, there's this one, there's this one. Just kind of side-by-siding, okay? So I'm going to take this one now and put this one in TextRaiser too. Analyze. So this is the one without the data. This is the one with the data. So what I wanted to show you, because there's all sorts of little data points and stuff you can look at in here. I don't want it to be confusing if you're ever using TextRaiser to see if your message is aligned or if you're using Google Cloud NLP. Let's just talk about the first couple things coming up. I'm just going to highlight them, okay? And I'm going to come over here. So this one did not have the data. This one had the data. We'll side by side them. Let's do that. So left, content Maxima data. Right, no data. ChatGPT built both pages. You saw they both exist. Trying to be transparent here. Would have liked to do a live example. Chat's killing me today. On the left, you'll notice something. The top entity, what the corpus of text, the body of text, that landing page is about, is arborist. Look at what the one that didn't have the data is about. Pruning. So it's 100% confident. When it says a 1, right? That's 100%. It's saying 100% this landing page is about an arborist. This landing page is about pruning. Let's go to the next thing. This is what I wanted. I wanted a landing page about tree removal in my hometown of Albany, New York. Look over here. The next thing that it's talking about is botany. Okay, pruning, botany, relevant to tree service, but not an arborist. Arborist is dead on. That's a machine. I don't think the average person is looking arborist in Google. But if you look at what an arborist is, it's literally a tree surgeon. It's someone who specializes in cutting and pruning and manipulating trees and removing trees, right? So that's what the machine expects is arborist. Now look at this, the location. I specifically asked chat for Albany, New York. It did it with the files. Over here, Guilderland, New York's building out Albany. Now Guilderland and Albany, well, Guilderland's Albany County. They're real close, right? Towns and hamlets touch each other. But it's like, why are you focusing or emphasizing Guilderland when I asked you to do Albany? Now, my landing page with the content is bringing in some other relevant geos. This is going off into horticulture, gardening. Again, if I bring the tree removal service guy a gardening contract, he might fire me. But if I bring him, hey, here's an acre of trees that have to be removed, he's going to be very happy. So this is what we mean, Rob and I mean, with the alignment of your message, the alignment of your brand. All of this entity talk and edges and nodes, if we really just boil it down, all you're trying to do is take your brand name and stack it with the entities that will get you recommended for a specific thing, right? Like it's brand and entity being stacked together or paired together or associated. You're trying to make associations. The reason you put your business up on Facebook is because Facebook's a reputable social media platform. And now that page gets associated with your brand as a part of your business. It becomes a digital asset. Same thing here. It's just the alignment of the messaging. And this is where people go wrong. One of the examples I gave, I probably did it on the webinar already. I use it all the time. I had a bakery customer and they had a beautiful website. They had really hip shop. They had some really cool stuff that they made, right? Like a couple young ladies, like really cool hip business, nice space you'd want to sit in and have a cup of coffee and a pastry, that kind of thing. Their website, front and center, was we create sweet and savory, or was it Sweet and Savory Creations is what it said. That was like the H1. That was like the website's theme. Sweet and Savory Creations. Now, if I ask you guys, what is a sweet and savory creation? I don't know. You don't know. Could be cupcakes. Could be cookies. Could be pastries. Could be chocolate. Could be a candy factory or a chocolate factory. We don't know because we've actually caused ambiguity. The bot doesn't know. So it's a super cute marketing line to say Sweet and Savory Creations, but until they switched it to, hey, we bake birthday cakes, wedding cakes, and boozy cupcakes for parties. Now the robots understand, oh, this is a cake shop. They specialize in boozy, right? Bougie, not bougie. Yes, they were bougie, but boozy, like alcohol in the cupcakes, right? That's like a really cool thing if you've never had one of those. Not everybody drinks, but if you ever get a chance, usually the alcohol bakes out in a baked good, but you get some of the flavor of the liqueur or whatever that was used, makes for a really moist cake. Anyways, they couldn't portray that message to the world. They couldn't get the bots to pick up on it because they were just sweet and savory creations, not boozy cupcakes. And like that, it's sometimes just the alignment. Once you get your ducks in a row, boom, you get the customers you want. Most people think that they want to be so unique and off the beaten path. No, you want to be on the highway. You want to be with everybody else. And as long as you're on that highway, then you can be a little unique and different, and that's going to set you apart. But you don't want your core marketing, your core brand associations to be with things that you don't want to do. The tree removal company. If I go to Bradley, I say, hey man, I got you a pruning job. Like I said, he's going to be like, I don't want that. I want tree removal. So you can track entity by entity, word by word, idea by idea, concept by concept, geolocation by geolocation. And you can use tools like TextRaiser. And in the indoctrination, I show you Google's. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of these. Microsoft Azure has their own. Amazon Comprehend, Google Cloud. NLP is what Rob and I preach here. And this is the reason we preach it, because it's so powerful, because it's the interface between us humans and the machine. So if you say the right stuff, you get recommended. If you don't say the right stuff, you go into the void. The video we promoted today on Facebook, if you saw our post, was the Kraken coming out and grabbing the ship down into the blackness, the darkness, right? Don't let that happen to you and your brand. Don't be misaligned. And it's the simplest little thing sometimes, the simplest little tweak that can just change everything, open the world for you. So hopefully this has been valuable. Hopefully you've gotten some nuggets out of this. I'm sorry chat was misbehaving. I hate when it misbehaves. So a couple more questions here. Let's see.
And guys, just as a reminder, if you click on the Q&A tab up top when you put your questions in, because there's, chat going back and forth sometimes, so we'll miss some. So if we miss them, make sure you put them in the Q&A, because those basically they segment out so we know questions versus just regular chat.
So Susan was saying she has good days and bad days with AI too, and yeah, you shut down the browser and walk away for a while. I feel that. Today was my day. I couldn't even get my computer to boot correctly today. I don't know what it was. Just one of those days. So I totally feel you. Nalen's asking, so which are the 6 files that you would upload to feed the corpus? So I would upload. Rob might differ on this with another idea, but let me get over to the app again. Hold on. And this is like your first little mini lesson in marketing intelligence stacking. There's other things that we can do. We can stack prompts and business information, and we'll keep going. We'll make this get more and more clear for you. It's not going to be clear just in one lesson. So, Nayland, the ones that I would feed. So if let's say you're just doing a landing page, just doing SEO, something generic, a generic service page, you might only feed the analysis and be done. But if you fed the analysis and the matrix is going to come in with extra keywords and terms that really help trigger the algorithm. It's like the DNA of your subject matter, and you're going to be able to get that trigger words list. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, I can open a matrix file quick just so you can see one. Let me do that so we know what we're talking about. I'm going to open that pool contractors matrix file.
And what the matrix is, so you guys understand, a lot of people, when they'll talk about NLP, most people are talking about literally just Google's NLP. I would say that's probably what 90% of the people, when they're talking about NLPs, talk about, right? This matrix file runs 63 different language processing models to get 63 different viewpoints of NLP based on the viewpoint that you're taking. So it's a very complex and very deep language analysis report. And there's a lot of overlap between the different, I guess, whatever the right
models,
word is,
analysis types,
the models of language processing that we're doing. There will be a lot of overlap, but there's some terms that maybe only one language model picks up, right? And if you're trying to fit into the overall corpus of information, if it only's picked up one time out of 63, it's probably not one you want to absolutely focus on, right? You want to make sure that you're covering as many as possible. And the terms that are seen in all 63 of them, you definitely want to get those words into your corpus of information.
So here he's talking about the columns, guys. I'll just scroll so you can see it's 63 columns of different language analysis types. This runs as 63 different softwares in one. So it does everything in a couple seconds now because Rob's been doing great programming, but we used to wait hours for these reports. So understand how robust and deep this is going, because it's taking your idea and it's just splicing it in every way. So this is the overwhelming page, but there's a lot of great ideas in here. This is where you want to go. Algorithm trigger words. So this is from Mike's pool example from earlier in the webinar. You'll see here we suggest anything that's occurring in 10 or more of the language models. And again, when we did the research, we found over 1,100 different types of language analysis. The reason we settled on these 63 is we wanted to make it universally powerful. So it didn't matter if you were doing TikTok or Pinterest or Google or Facebook or training your own little chatbot or whatever. We needed to find the most potent models, the ones that are heavily and frequently used across all types of media across the entire internet. So if it's shown up in 10 or more models, this here, Nayland, that's your trigger word list. I would literally copy and paste that into a notepad. If you're ever writing or training a bot, or you're saying, hey, what keywords could I use? Like, these are what are going to move the needle. So analysis is maybe a little bit more of an information architecture. Matrix is that nitty gritty DNA, math bending association words. They really make up a subject matter. And there's all sorts of fascinating things we can get into this. I just want you to know how powerful this is. So if you're doing a landing page or SEO stuff, Nayland, I would stick to probably just the 2 files, right, of analysis and matrix. However, let's say you have a persona in mind for your industry or niche, then I would give it the personas file, because the personas file is going to not only show it your persona, but it's going to show all the other personas in existence, and it's going to show you how the model has been trained, because essentially we're sucker punching the model to get information out of it from every perspective we possibly could to find those reoccurring things. So in an effort to be transparent, I'll open that too, but analysis, matrix, personas, pathways, linguistic signatures, 6 of those files total. It's 4 Excel spreadsheets, 2 PDF files. If you take that 6 file core of marketing intelligence and you dump it into any chatbot, any AI, have it help you with any task you're doing, what we're doing is we've narrowed the AI's focus in. We're getting rid of all this garbage that it already has. And again, it already knows a lot of stuff about industries and niches, but it has a lot of misinformation, bad information too. So we're really cleaning it, focusing in so that it hits the nail on the head. So here, just so you guys see, this one, 177 different columns. You could sit here all day and look at all the different persona types it generates. But the exercise, the reason we had to generate over 3,500 personas in one go was to see where the training data lies. So where is the pool contractors' money? How does that industry work? Where are they, focused? Real estate. I think event planners is weird, but maybe. Pool managers, home improvement, home enthusiasts. And some of these things in here, you may be like, what the heck? Why are pet owners coming up? Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm putting a pool in and I got pets, I've got concerns. I've got questions. How do I keep my pet from drowning? Is there a safety ramp? Is there a cover that will prevent the dog from getting tied up in it and drowning, right? So some of these things you got to think about. Why was the training model picking up pet owner when we're talking about pool contractors? Oh, well, maybe if I'm a pool contractor and I didn't mention anything about pet ownership in my website or anything, maybe I need to do that now. Maybe it needs to be better,
Yeah, and here's another way to think through this, right? So we're giving you guys tons of data, right? And we're launching this, and we're going to keep building out the best ways to use that with the help of even all of us working together to kind of build what's the best way to now use this data, right? But if you think about, if you're selling pools and someone who has pets comes across your website and sees that you have already covered what are some ways that I can keep my pets healthy, they're already going to build more trust with you, because they know, well, this pool contractor's thought about it. Or how do I keep my small children, right? Because that's another one. Children, whatever it is, C16.
I was trying to find it. C.
Sound
Oh,
cylinder,
yeah,
C16.
children.
It's like
Yeah.
bingo, right? So that's people. And what this is doing is this is showing how many times, right? So there's 10 different times in that personas that it has come up with those three words together, right? So people with young children is probably how that is in the terms. You can go find the terms on all the 3,500 personas. But this is telling me people with small children, with young children, there's a big concern around pools and small children right above it, right? Pool contractors and they're with pet owners or owners with pets, right? How do I, so you can start to dig in and see, oh, I could run a whole campaign with my pool stuff, doing ads about we take the extra time to make sure that you're installing a pool, that you have a fence around it, that you have pool alarms, that you have all these different things to help in case you have a small child or you have a pet that could fall in, and just different things like that, right? So you've got to take this, you got to think, okay, now that it opens up a whole nother even marketing avenue, right? With this personas, if you could literally run marketing campaigns of pools of people with small children.
Yep. So, Nayland, I hope I answered your question. The last thing I'm going to show you is just to be clear to everybody. Analysis, matrix, personas, perspectives, the pathways, and the signatures. Those 6 features of Content Maxima, if you stack that data into whatever AI you're using, you feed it, see what you get. I think you'll be shocked. You'll be surprised that all of a sudden, hey, that landing page we were writing, it's so much more aligned. It speaks so much better to the customer. Or, hey, came up with ideas I would have never thought of. And I think the really cool thing is when you guys go out there and you start to do this, your pool contracting company, if all of a sudden they're focusing on fences, children's safety, and dog safety, if that's not a part of their website and they add those things, well, now, like Rob said, every pet owner, kid owner in town, they're going to trust your company over the other guys, because back to that Steve guy, the pool guy, who's just his picture with a thumbs up and I install pools. Do you want Steve, or do you want the company that has put a bunch of content together about kids and dogs and keeping your property safe and keeping your liability down and lowering your insurance, right? Because I'm sure your house insurance goes up if you have a pool, right, Rob? I don't have a pool. Does your insurance go up? I imagine it would.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and again, this is showing you that file here. It's just showing you where the AI trained. If the AI, ChatGPT, read 15% of the internet and got its initial training and now is being trained every day by people, then this shows you where in its brain your industry and your niche is. And again, some things are going to make a lot of sense. Other things are not going to make sense right away. You're going to have to kind of think about them, and the way that they're listed in here isn't always, like estate plus real. What does that mean? Well, it means real estate. You're going to have to put 2 and 2 together. But it's just showing the co-occurrence, or the doubles, triples, and quadruples and quintuples that are showing. Here's really, long tail stuff. I don't know why social media is coming up, but again, probably marketing pools, backyard homeowners. Let's look at this one.
Well, the one with social media, it's probably like influence, like
Yep.
home influencers in social media or something like that. You can go find those terms. What this is showing you is those 4 words, home, in, influencers, and social media,
Yep.
was found. What's the number? 3, 4?
Yeah, 3 times. So it's in 3 of the cells.
Yeah. So 3 times those terms have been used together, right? And if it's been used that many times together, a quintuple, right? That means that it's a very focused group of people that you could target.
Long tail, niche, however you want to look at it. Ultra niche.
It's funny. What I find really funny on this, right? So I'm going to just totally derail this whole conversation right now.
Okay.
Did you see how these are about influencers? So that tells me there's probably a lot of influencers that try to find places with swim pools so they can look cool while they're doing influencing.
Oh, like
right?
rent a jet, right? Because when I lived in California or Vegas, you could literally
they go rent a Lambo
jet
and take their picture, or they, oh well, how can I if I do, I'm going to be an influencer for social media, and I want to, home improvement influencers and all these different things. They want to find people with pools, and where can I go get a pool to look cool in my picture and all that kind of stuff. So those may not fit into this specific topic, but it's funny that that's a person, right? If you had let's say you had a pool, a house with a pool, you could then target influencers to rent your house so they can take their influencing pictures. And there's a slight little micro niche of, oh, I'll just rent my pool once a day for them to come take all their pictures so people think they're rich and loaded and they got a big pool. That's what I see when I see those terms all together right there. Is influencers are probably trying to find places where they can get into a cool pool to take a picture.
There's
As
probably
crazy
truth
as
to
that
that.
sounds. Yeah. So anyway.
All right. Well, I think we've.
But to narrow that down, basically all 6 files. Go back to the app real quick.
Yeah. Analysis,
So
matrix,
1, 2,
personas,
3, 4,
pathways,
5,
perspectives,
6.
signatures. Yeah. So
Yep.
basically,
So the top 6.
like, hold on.
Yes,
Those
the top
ones.
6.
Right there.
Yep. The socials is for once you have an article, you can upload that article and it'll help make you social posts. And you can tweak them a little bit, but it'll help you with your social profiling. The other one is Mork Mode, where you go ahead and get outlines so you can at least get started on all the topics you want to cover, right?
Which we showed
But
at the beginning of the webinar. Yep.
Yeah, those top 6 are the core files that we use to train the bots or train AI or train whatever if you're making a custom GPT. If you're using Claude and you're making artifacts, you upload your files, and now you've got this training behind it, right? Those are the 6 files that help you really focus down into the niche that you're going after.
And we will go on this further and further because this is a new emerging industry for you people, okay? Because we're talking SEO, pay-per-click, Facebook, social media marketing, all this stuff. You guys can make money that way, but imagine this. Imagine you could make money with Content Maxima, getting a bunch of reports out and going to train a custom GPT or an agent or whatever for a specific industry or client type or on a specific task. Like I just did one for Rob and I because we've been experimenting. I did a press release, custom GPT. It's amazing. It just wrote me this incredible press release. So I can stack information in there and get amazing press releases out. So this is your foundation, your marketing intelligence foundation of how you feed the bots. So we're beyond SEO now, we're beyond social. We're now talking like, hey, you want to build a custom GPT or agent or automated workflow or whatever, take these data sets and at each step of the way, train the agent, right? You got a big N8N spread or a big make spread of all sorts of automations. Any agent you're calling, like go train that agent on your specific industry. And by the way, this is not just one-time pay kind of opportunity for you guys. Imagine if you build a custom GPT for your pool client that writes beautiful pool marketing and all the services and products that they specialize in. And now you can charge them every month, right? Monthly reoccurring revenue, and you don't do anything more. You just literally build the bot and charge them. And when they stop paying you, you just shut it off. So if that's not an idea to make a bunch of money, that's where the world's going. That's where it's emerging. And we're going to do a lot more in that wheelhouse. I have a bunch of other stuff I would have loved to show you if tech had been better today. But next week, we'll do another webinar. So be here, be square, right?
Yep.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. I got 2 little kids looking for me for bedtime. So I appreciate you coming. And if you have more questions, you can always submit a ticket on contactmaxima.com under contact. Otherwise, hopefully we did well by you guys today, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys next week. Have a good one.
Take care.